Hello and welcome to Americans Talk Australian Survivor. I'm Rachel.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Matt.
Thanks for joining us. Before we get started, just a reminder that we will be out all of next week for all 3 episodes of Australian Survivor, episodes 10, 11, 12, but we will be back for episode 13 the following week. Thank you for your patience. We just watched episode 9 of Australian Survivor Brains vs. Brawn 2, and there will be spoilers ahead. We open up on day 19 to the Brawn tribe right after Ursula goes home. We see that Logan is quite upset.
Yeah, she's calling AJ an idiot.
She thinks that AJ has a bad plan with the hostages.
But AJ feels as happy as can be. He's truly very, very happy.
Yeah, but Logan feels like they need to take care of their old tribe mates, which makes sense.
Yeah, she said AJ has an individual plan, but they need to think of all of them, and she's right. They have to be cohesive at this point.
Yeah, I mean, AJ's plan is really to get the Brawn to vote out the original Brain tribe on the opposite island, and that's not the best idea. So I see where Logan's coming from. She's not happy. She shares this unhappiness with Kristen, one of the original Brawn, and Kristen and AJ are talking, and it was pretty interesting to see Kristen kind of play up to his ego. She's like, yeah, we'll work together, but she tells the camera that she's really just going to pacify him and lie to him if needed.
Right, which is understandable. I mean, lots of people have done that, but good for her.
Yeah, she's kind of flying under the radar,
right, but
getting along with everyone.
Yes.
So then we jump over to the Brains tribe, where people are not getting along very well either. We see an image of Max meditating, looking very peaceful, very happy, and then Miles is yapping away close by on the beach.
He doesn't seem to stop talking and moving his hands.
Yeah, he said he's so concerned that he's not making connections with the new tribe. But yeah, relax. And I like that he called Max, the Mad Max, a jungle cat. So I thought that was funny.
So we've got the jungle cat versus the jungle rat.
Right.
Who will come out on top? So Max, on the other hand, thinks that he's doing incredibly well. He feels that he's getting along very well in the Brawn tribe and is maintaining his idea of getting Miles out.
And he feels positive because he also has an immunity idol.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that until he mentioned it.
That he named. I mean, usually people don't name their immunity idols.
Well, he was so full of confidence. He just really thought thinks he has everything wrapped up.
Right.
And he thinks, he's in a great position. So we'll see if maybe he'll get his idol tattooed on his chest.
Yeah.
I think Max is kind of one of those people who thinks that everybody likes him. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
But he should feel he's in a good position because he does have the idol, right?
Right.
Anyone who has an idol is going to feel good.
And he does seem pretty likable. I remember the first few episodes, it seemed like everyone was laughing with him, and he seemed likable. So I bet in regular life, he's pretty easy to get along with and well-liked. But I think in the game of Survivor, maybe it doesn't come across quite as well.
Yeah.
It's funny. He's a teacher. I wonder what his students think.
Yeah. Well, I just think on his confessionals, he just seems a little too much. But I'm sure he's a really nice person in real life.
So then we head to the immunity challenge. So yet again, no reward.
No.
Yes. What's going on here?
They must be starving.
Let the people eat.
Right. Give them some triple deckers.
Yeah. So I guess we're getting right on into it. And it was very interesting to see the reaction to Ursula's exit. They, I guess, had taken votes over on the Brain tribe, and they did not expect Ursula to be gone.
Yeah, and someone said you took out all the muscle.
Yeah.
Which is a good point.
Yeah, so this is where AJ has the opportunity to present his hostage situation. And Laura and Zara are saying, well, what about us? What's going to happen to us? And it's all very weird. It doesn't feel well received. And I'm thinking in the moment, his proposition is really, his whole point of this hostage situation is, if you don't throw the challenge, I'll vote out one of your own. But that's really been the case in every episode of Survivor. It's not like he's just framing it in a different way. He's not doing anything different than anyone else has done before.
Right.
So it's kind of weird.
It is. It's just an odd thing to say because it's just going to backfire. You're just going to alienate so many people with that plan. Yeah,
so it's a different approach. He's reframing the situation, which I guess is what you have to do in the game of Survivor. And initially, it feels like it's not going to take The Brawn are like, this is AJ only. Don't associate this with us. And then as they're picking who to sit out, they're like, you know what? We'll just try to get the challenge. The Brain are saying, let's just go all in. Let's
try to win
this challenge. And that's it.
Right.
So I'm thinking, all right, enough about AJ's hostage situation. Like, plan's over. It didn't work.
Yep. They've already moved on.
But that's not the case.
Right. That looked like it was pretty miserable at first, unloading all those sandbags. That looked very heavy, and it looked like it could go on for a long time.
Yeah, so they're unloading the sandbags, then they have to move their canoe, and so this is where we start to see the throwing occur.
Right.
So we see Ben and Jesse are not pulling their weight in the canoe.
Not putting an effort in, right. All their effort.
And it felt a little too obvious. Like, come on, Ben and Jesse, we know they can lift a canoe. They've done a lot more on this show. And they were, like making faces like they're trying really hard. And I just thought, if you're going to throw it, just be blatant about it.
Yes.
Well, this is what I have to say to Australian Survivor producers. If they do this, stop and redo it, because it is not fun to watch someone throw a challenge. It just is not fun. I just thought it was a waste of the people who tried out and made it to Survivor and to the people watching.
Right.
It's just not interesting to watch people throw a challenge. And it's you get voted on to be on this show, and I just think it's a slap in the face to the show to say we're going to throw a challenge.
Right. There needs to be some sort of consequence that they need to build into the show, but it's nothing that I can think of right now. But there's something that they need to do to make it so that
if you're going to throw it, you're going to get penalized.
Right.
Well, then you see Miles begging for help. He, kept saying, Ben, it was crazy. And they just, nope, not helping at all. And it was sad
after
because
they got the canoe moved.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. But what was so sad is that the original Brains are there working as hard as they can, and the Brawn aren't. And wouldn't that put signals to all the Brains like, hey, they're not trying to help us at all?
Yes.
But what can they do?
I don't know, but I would be so mad at them.
Well, Miles was very upset. But what was so interesting about this challenge is I wonder if they almost picked this challenge because there was talk of throwing, because it made it very easy to throw this challenge. So after they get their canoe over, then they, do their little puzzle. And the puzzle says one of your sandbags contains an idol. And so this makes everyone run over and skip the last part of the challenge and start opening up sandbags. So it's kind of in that weird gray area of like, are you throwing the challenge, or could you play it off as, I'm just looking for an idol? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of in between.
Nah,
so
I think it was very obvious to me.
They were clearly throwing,
right,
but it was the nature of the challenge made it easier for them to throw it.
I hear you. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, so it was very interesting. We see all of the Brains looking for, or all the Brawns on the Brain tribe looking for the idol. We see Laura even say, I'll go back if you guys go back, and they say no. So it's sad to see that the Brawn are pulling ahead in the challenge. The Brains are about to lose because no one's doing anything. It was very annoying to watch.
Right.
I agree.
Frustrating.
So then eventually both teams are looking for idols. And Kristen finds an idol. She tries to sneak it into her pants, but nothing gets by Noonan.
I'm looking at that thinking that is not going to work,
Her pants were too tight. She didn't have anywhere to hide it.
Yes. And then she said that Noonan called her out on it. But, I mean, anybody would have seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get the point. You don't want to tell everyone that you have an idol, but unfortunately, this was a public way to find it. So then we're watching Karin be the last person to, shoot the ball. As long as she gets her ball on it, then they're going to win. And another thing that was really unique about this challenge is that each person had to throw their own ball onto the ledge.
Yeah, I like
that. So normally it's like one person, can stand at the end and win it for them. But since everyone had to participate, this is another thing where like you're running back to look for the idol, but you have to be the one to throw the ball, and you're also trying to throw the challenge. So this was a good challenge for this episode, knowing all of the chaos that was happening, between the tribes.
Right, and then the whole tribe had to be together before they could start throwing the ball, right? That was Miles' problem. He couldn't get them out of the water. Had that not been part of it, and had everyone's name not been on it, he could have stood there and thrown all those balls until he got them on.
For them.
Yeah. But since those rules were in place, it was just more of a challenge for Miles, and he was really frustrated. But somehow he got them to all come back so that he could start throwing.
Well, let's talk about Miles in this episode. He wants so badly for everyone to just participate in the challenge, but they won't stop looking for idols. He runs out and is like, guys, come on, look for it. Just do it. And he finds the idol.
He reaches down in the water and there
well,
it
that
is.
was strange, too. How he just ran there and there was an idol. All those people are looking for it. I don't know.
Well, I think that they're
strange again.
They're opening the sandbags. They're dumping them out and they're moving so quickly. I think they like dump the sand and then, the water moves it a little bit.
Wave comes in,
and then it uncovers. And he's like, it's right here. But good for Miles. I couldn't believe it. The only person who's not even looking is, of course, the person who walks away with the idol.
Right. And he just picks it up and says, come on, guys. I have the idol. Let's go. Yeah.
Well, that was great. I was happy for Miles.
Right.
That was hilarious, I thought.
I mean, that is just a great timing for him to be able to pick that up and change the show, change this episode.
So now he's like, we've got to win. And unfortunately, they weren't able to pull it off in time. Karen gets her ball.
After a lot of shots.
Yeah. If the Brains wanted to, they could have won this challenge. But the Brawn take the lead, and they are safe tonight at Tribal Council, thanks to AJ's plan, and the Brains are headed to Tribal. But I was thinking, it's so weird that the opportunity was there to throw any challenge at any time after the tribe swap, and it's just so interesting that AJ was able to get them to do it just by putting the situation into a different perspective.
Why are they so afraid of this guy? It's crazy.
I don't know.
I mean, he's like a dictator. Very strange.
Well, I'm looking at Ben and Jesse, who seem to be, and even Morgan seemed to be into the throwing the challenge, and Ben and Jesse seem to be the biggest proponents of it. And are they really that close to Noonan or Polly or Kristen that they want to save them that much? I mean, maybe they are. We just didn't realize it. But I don't know. It was odd that they care so strongly that they're willing to sacrifice themselves at a tribal council.
Yeah, they just really want the original Brawns to stick together, I guess. I don't know.
And take a huge risk that you could get voted out. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they felt that confident they were not going to get voted out.
But now Miles has an idol, so it's possible.
Yeah. So Max is now very upset, obviously, that Miles found the idol. Zara is extremely frustrated that they threw the challenge. And Ben says they decided to throw the challenge, but with Miles winning the idol, everything throws it off.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was annoying that then they came out at the end and said, okay, yeah, we threw it. Like, at that point, I would rather them just sit down and not even try, because it's, like we said, it's insulting to the viewers, it's insulting to the game to pretend to participate in a challenge that you're not giving your all.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago, one of my favorites, Henry, threw a challenge, and I remember it backfired. So you just never know. Well, things can backfire. Mm-hmm. Even though right now it might not have backfired, coming up it could backfire.
It affects the whole game.
Right.
You're still weaker. Your team is weaker. Right. You're down one person.
Right.
Even if the other team has to set somebody out, then you have to play all your players.
Right.
Yeah. And then AJ, who orchestrated this whole thing, as they're walking out or they're going back to their mats, he asks Max, are you at the bottom? Did he ask Max, are you at the bottom? And I'm thinking, why would you ask him? It's too late. You already made them throw the challenge. You know that one of them is going home tonight.
Right.
I don't know. It made me upset to see him ask that. I'm thinking, why did he do all of this?
Yeah, well, he's sacrificing his own team. It's so sad that he would do that to them. So here the Brawn team are trying to do anything to keep themselves together, where the Brains, because of AJ, is just saying, all right, I don't really care who's around my team. I don't know. It's so selfish.
Maybe it's a big master plan that we haven't seen the big revelation yet, and it's going to all work out.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, we get back to the Brains camp, and everyone is kind of, talking about this and how are they going to deal with Miles' idol. So they have, they're talking about, initially, all of the original Brawn are talking, and they're talking about targeting Max. And I thought that's interesting, because earlier this episode, Max is getting on so well with them. Mm-hmm. Why is he the target?
Kate brought his name up. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't like him.
I don't know. But then I was happy to see Laura trying to band together the original brains, and she said, we might not all get along, but we all have to stick together for this vote because this idol gives us power, and we could really make a move here.
Right. She's playing a smart game.
Mm-hmm. Because if they want to flush the idol, they have to vote for more than one person.
Yeah, they could do this if they stick together. And
Miles even offers to play his idol for Max.
Right.
I know, that was very generous.
And Max has an idol that he's not telling anyone about.
Right.
So it's a little foreshadowing. But I also thought Miles made a good point. He said that he wants to target Kate because she's going to be really good at the late game challenges and she has a good social game. And I thought this is the first time in a while that we've been hearing about this kind of part of the strategy. So I feel like we're always targeting, the big boys, as JLP calls them, that bring a lot of strength to the challenges. But in the individual game, it's a lot of like balance, it's a lot of endurance, and it always seems like some of the younger women tend to be better at that. So he sort of picked up that Kate may be good at that down the road. So I thought that was an interesting observation by Miles.
Yes.
And then they even get Max and Miles to shake hands. But right away, Max is kind of reserved. And Zara says, look me in the eye and tell me you're with them. And he could not do it. He could not do it. It was just horrible.
That was like an understatement. Yeah, he looked like he was like zoning out.
Well, he just didn't. He couldn't handle it.
Right. So.
All he could say was, it's going to be a party.
Yeah, not a good
not
sign.
Not reassuring.
No.
Max says he feels he's being dictated, and it just doesn't work for him. He doesn't trust Miles or Zara. And what does he do? He goes to Ben and Jesse, and tells them all about Miles and has what
plan.
They were talking about. Why? He's being like Noonan. Just look in the future. You know what I mean? I don't understand. And if they threw the challenge, Max should know, all right, they're not looking out for me. They threw the challenge to get rid of me or one of my teammates, original teammates.
Yeah, I mean, eventually someone has to flip during the game, right? Otherwise it would be a pretty boring game. So I think Max is trying to play a game. He's looking to get into another alliance. He's trying to advance the plot of the show. But now is just not the time. I think that, unfortunately, in a group of, so there's 5 of the original Brawn and then 4 of the original Brains. So if Max comes over, he's number 6 in the 6-person alliance. Then they go to merge. He's really at the bottom.
Yes.
So I feel like it's just not the time to be switching alliances. I don't know, maybe later in the game or if the numbers were a little bit different, but it doesn't feel like it's going to benefit his game in any way to align himself with Ben and Jesse.
Well, I just don't know why he thought they would align with him, Rachel, because they threw the challenge, which throws Max under the bus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Max said, I love power. Did you hear him say that?
Yeah.
Well,
he seems
that could be why he's switching, right?
Well, wait.
He thinks he's more powerful on that.
Yes, yeah.
That side.
Well, what I thought, he's talking to Jesse at the water well, and he's pouring drinking water all over his body. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, we've seen a lot of them do that. I think it gets the salt water off.
All right.
That's common in Survivor. We can't fault them for that.
Well, I don't know if they have limited water. I guess that's what I was thinking.
We never heard that they are limited with their water.
You're right.
I think they're not going to make the people,
Right, you're right. It just looks strange to me.
Well, as much as we're upset with Max, he does pitch a pretty good plan. He wants a 3-3 split. He says 3 on Miles, 3 on Zara, 3 on Kate. Then whoever Miles plays his idol for, either himself or Zara, then the opposite person goes home on the revote. So he has a good strategy. And he has this idea, though, that I don't think is as smart, to bring in Laura. So Laura's his closest ally on the beach, and he wants to bring her in. My concern there is now we're 7 people in a tribe of 9. So Miles goes home tonight. Next week, Zara goes home. Then the following week, now what? You're going to have to turn on each other. So I just feel like, I don't know. I feel this just is a very myopic plan. He's not really looking forward.
There didn't seem to be any logic in telling Laura.
This is his. He says that Zara has an awful bedside manner.
I know. That's an odd thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah, but Laura
is not in the hospital.
Laura is really good because she said, listen, Max, you're at the bottom of the pack. Will be at the bottom of the pack. And he just does not believe her. And then she said she's going to flip.
Yeah. So
right.
Laura
That was surprising.
Yeah. Laura seems to think that this is the way forward. If she can't convince Max to do otherwise, then this is what she has to do. I do wish, though, that Laura, who seems to be more level-headed and kind of looking at the game as a whole, I wish that she would have gone up to maybe find some cracks within the Brawn. I think that would have been the best solution. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at Morgan. We really haven't heard much from her at all. Is she even that close to the Brawn? Would she be willing to flip? Has anyone talked to her about, should they target one of their own? I feel like that would have been... those seem to be the best ways to break ties, is to kind of turn in on your own alliance in that way and split the game in half in a different way. I don't know. I feel like I'm okay with Max wanting to flip his alliance, but not in this way. He didn't do it in a smart way.
Now you're making me think Max seems to be the only person of the brains really talking to Bronze.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
the other
Miles
three
has
don't
been-
know. Yeah,
Miles has
Miles.
been
Yeah.
talking
I
for
guess.
sure.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
He
but
just
not
hasn't been making a
Zara.
good impression.
Yeah. Zara and Laura really don't seem to be doing much talking.
He might just be lecturing. He might not be talking.
Yeah.
Right?
That might be the issue. Well, then Laura decides that she is going to bring in one more person as well. So now 8 of the 9 people on the tribe are all on the same plan. She wants Zara to also work with them and have Miles play the idol for her so that he goes home. And I think, how could you do this? In a 4-person alliance, you're going to leave only one person out.
Right.
And what's going to happen next vote? Then it's going to be Zara or it's going to be Laura. It's just, why would you give in like this? I guess at some point you have to say, there's nothing I can do. I have to save myself.
Zara said
But I didn't feel like we were there yet. But what's crazy is as all of this is happening and Max is getting all of the original brains to vote with the original Brawn, the Brawn are talking and they're not even interested in working with Max.
I know.
So they are thinking still about voting out Max. And it's just so surprising that Max is getting his own people to turn on each other. Well, the Brawn don't even trust him.
No.
I don't know what's happening. He seems to have a very poor read on the situation, or I guess maybe Ben and Jesse are just really good liars and good at making him feel comfortable.
Well, and what I think is sad that Max was just couldn't see straight that Miles said, he would play the idol for Max or Zara or anybody. He's so loyal and he wants it to work so well. And he can't see that. You know what I mean? Here's a loyal guy. You should have stuck with him.
What was the initial rift between Miles and Max?
Miles voted for Max.
Well, that is too bad. But
I know, but
it's been a while. It's time to move on.
Well, yeah, Survivor is a fluid game. And like if you hear most people say when they're at Tribal that you have to keep moving and changing. You can't just stick with your alliance all the time. Sometimes you have to move with someone else, even if it's one vote. You can still go somewhere else, but then go back to where you want to be.
Yeah.
But Max and Noonan do not see it that way, I guess.
Yeah. Well, then we head on into Tribal, and Max shares that he is the swing vote. He feels like he's in a good spot. I thought it was interesting that he's announcing it so confidently. I guess he wants the Brawn to know that he's definitely on their side. He wants to be vocal about that. But calling himself the swing vote implies that he may swing the other way.
Right.
So, I don't know. I thought that was an interesting thing to label yourself as.
But they don't have a plan if he swings the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, so going into Tribal, only an original Brawn has really come up as an option to vote for.
Yeah, so
Yes.
Max isn't worried at all.
Original
Miles is not feeling that well. He doesn't know what's going to happen.
So it's a tough Tribal. It's time to vote, and then it is time to play an idol. Miles plays it, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if he plays it for Zara and he goes home.
Oh my gosh, that's what I was doing. Oh my gosh.
Miles, play it for
But then I
yourself.
thought he's a smart guy. He's played a lot of games, right? That's what he...
Yes, he did.
That's what he does a lot with his time playing games. So I think he just said, I'll play it for you, Max. I'll play it for you, Zara, knowing that it's probably going to be used for himself. That's what I thought, looking back on it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't think that way. I just thought maybe he got the feeling during tribal, I better play this for myself.
Things aren't looking good for me.
No, but thank goodness he had that in his thought process.
Yeah, so Miles plays his idol for himself, and Max keeps his idol in his bag. So then we see a split between Miles and Max. None of Miles count, and Max goes home with an idol in his pocket.
He must have been
season.
so upset.
Had he played that, Kate would have gone home.
Yeah.
Kate, who received 1 vote, would have gone home.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the next episode would be 4-4.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Why was he so stubborn? He was just stubborn, right?
Yeah.
He seemed really surprised.
Right.
Yeah.
He was not expecting that at all.
So
And the
Wow.
crazy thing is, Miles played his idol, and almost all the votes that he got were from his own ally. So I'm glad he didn't go home. But
the
that was
people he's
close.
known since the beginning of the game voted for him, not the people who
Yeah.
you just met.
Well, good
Imagine
for Miles.
if all of the original brains had voted for Kate, and then they played the idol for Max. It just would have been a lot better, and that could have maybe brought Max back in. But wasn't meant to be.
Right.
That's what
So
Laura
Max-
was trying to say. Just vote together as a pack. I don't know. And now everything is really ruined because now Max isn't even in the game anymore. He just must be so upset.
So the OG Brawn never told anyone they were going to vote for Max, right?
No.
So there was never even any thought of it. They were just saying we're going to vote for Miles and we're going to split our votes and right. I mean, just coming up with that. So they really played it smart by keeping it to themselves. Whereas Max runs to the other side and says, "Hey, this is what we're going to do."
Well, it's
Yeah,
too
I
bad.
think
I mean, even though I don't really like how Max was in the confessionals, I have to say he was an interesting player to watch.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's
he
what they
brought it
like.
on.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see him play longer.
It was fun to see the feud between Max and Miles. They were very vocal,
Yes,
very
that's
theatrical, and it was fun to see. So it'll be too bad to see the jungle cat and the jungle rat feud
Not be
end.
able to,
It was the showdown of the season.
Yeah.
So it was a great episode.
Excellent episode.
it
Yeah,
really was a
very,
good
very
one.
good.
And I'm thinking back to the episode where Rich handed Max that scroll and he could have sent anyone home, and he was planning on sending Miles, planning to vote Miles out. And if he would have sent different people home, Miles would have been out before this episode. Miles just keeps
Right.
coming back to haunt Max.
He does. He doesn't go away.
No.
Right? I mean,
Wow.
he just keeps,
Yeah,
I guess he's doing,
here to stay.
Right.
He's being flexible. He's moving around, doing whatever he has to do. He obviously is finding idols and trying to win challenges. I mean, he's not giving up on this game, right? He might be too
Yeah.
aggressive, but he's not sitting back. Where I feel like maybe even Max kind of sat back because if he was playing the game, he would have played his idol.
Yeah.
He should have had some feeling at that tribal that maybe things weren't going to go his way.
maybe, yeah. But it's funny that Miles finds his idol and plays it a few hours later.
Yes.
You know?
Well, he had to. It was
Right.
so public. Well, the jungle rat lives on another day. So it's another excellent episode of Australian Survivor. We can't wait to see what happens next week. As a reminder, we will be out next week for all 3 episodes, but back the following Sunday. Thank you for joining us, and follow us on Instagram at ATA Survivor, TikTok at ATA Survivor, or send us an email at ataustraliansurvivor@gmail.com.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.